Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the CiL Cup Series here at Darlington Motor Speedway tonight. We are in for a fantastic race here at the Lady in Black. My name is Matthew Nordberg. Joining me in the booth tonight is John Dinkle. We're looking at a fantastic race tonight here for the CiL Southern 120 for the CiL Prospect Series. This is round 4 of the 7. Current weather sitting at 74 degrees Fahrenheit with 33% humidity. Clear skies and a light breeze in the air. Track temp currently sitting at 77 degrees Fahrenheit around this 1.3 mile egg-shaped track. John, what are you expecting out of these racers tonight?
Well, we always know these drivers. They know how to race. They know how to race clean. They know how to race really, really hard. And Darlington is a place where we can see that it's not one of the cookie cutter tracks. It's I think the only one of its style with basically two very distinct turns with a very much larger radius turns 1 and 2 and the tighter turns 3 and 4. And I think there's some variable banking in there as well that very it allows the drivers to kind of they can run low, they can run high, close to the wall. They can do all sorts of things to try to muster their way past the driver in front of them or keep the car behind them behind.
Absolutely, John. I think it's going to be a fantastic race, and I think one thing we're going to have to watch out for tonight is that Darlington Stripe that's this track is so well known for. You know, these cars run right up against the wall a lot of the time in turns 1 and 2, as well as in turns 3 and 4. So you really have to be super careful on that throttle. You're on the throttle a little too early, then it's going to be bad news for you. As we as our practice session is just about to wrap up here. Currently, we have about 15 drivers in the field right now, looking around the field right now. We have a couple of CiL veterans right now, just finishing some of their practice laps right now. We're looking at Scott Ratliff out of Pitt State University running the 147 machine. Just for you newcomers to the CiL, just a heads up that three-digit numbers indicate that the driver is an alumni. Uh, you know, in the CiL Prospect Series, excuse me. All cards are scored the same, no matter if you're in the alumni class with the three-digit numbers as well as the red decals on the car, or if you're in the student class, as we see a student right here. This is Edwin Onofre out of University of North Texas. He's got that two-digit number, that 99 green machine, and he's got blue decals on his car on that rear wing as well as the nameplate on the windshield. John, I think it's going to be exciting to see how these drivers race each other tonight. It's going to be so important to have a good qualifying position, as if you're unable to qualify well, it's going to hurt you in the race because it's so difficult to pass around here.
Yeah, definitely. All these drivers they want to be in they want to be in the race tomorrow night. That's where all the I want to say the big bucks are paid out. That's pretty much where it matters. But since these drivers they have to kind of qualify first. And, well, for some of the drivers that might have had a tougher time qualifying for our Premier Series races, is kind of I think this is going to be their big break. Since we have a bit of a smaller field tonight, um, unexpectedly, because I would imagine Darlington is a pretty popular track. A lot of drivers even I don't know if some of the Premier drivers that are locked in could race in Prospect to get a bit more experience, see how tires might change over a run, but. Uh, yeah, definitely a good opportunity for some of those drivers who are normally pretty far back in the pack to get some good points and try to qualify for the race tomorrow.
Absolutely. And now we're looking at one of our drivers who is up there in the standings for the CiL Prospect Series, Zachary DeWale out of St. Clair College, getting ready to set up his qualifying laps right now. Zachary DeWale has done a fantastic job this season at CiL rookie, but he doesn't race like one. He's definitely got the speed to show that he can race with the big boys, and he's earning his stripes in the Prospect Series, and he's racing at the front in the Premier Series too, as he has accumulated the points and the safety rating to race in the Premier Series on Tuesday nights, same time, same place. As he gets through turns 1 and 2 cleanly here on his first qualifying lap right now. We'll see how he sets up turns 3 and 4. Completely different turn, as John mentioned earlier in the broadcast, running right up against that wall. Really going to have to feather the throttle and make sure that you don't hit that wall, because you will use your qualifying times. He comes across the line now. It's going to put Zachary DeWale into first position with a 29.64 in the lap time. John, that's a pretty good benchmark lap time to set right now for this qualifying session.
Yeah, but that is the first one we've seen. We see Daniel Hunter in the 49 car. He sets his first lap time of the session. Only two in so far, but that was a 30.26 from Daniel. Uh, you kind of see most of these drivers starting to set their first laps of the session. A lot of them running really high up on the track. I think they're trying to use that recently added physics feature in iRacing, where as you run up into the wall, the air can give you a basically kind of pushes against your car and keeps you out of the wall, so you can get a bit more speed through the corner. Looking back at the timing tower, saying about the current fastest lap times held from the 14 of Connor Levy at 29.265, 3 tenths faster than the next fastest car, as I think he just finished his third, uh, maybe his second qualifying lap, but as he pulls off the track, in my point of view.
Yeah, Connor Levy setting a blistering lap time in this qualifying session so far with a 29.23. That is over 25 0.25 seconds quicker than the next closest car in the field, which is Daniel Hunter out of St. Clair College. Connor Levy out of Arizona State University, representing that maroon and gold team well, as looks like Andrew Stieg, I believe it's pronounced, gets into the second position right now. Sets a lap time only a hundredth quicker than Daniel Hunter. He's sitting in second right now. Andrew Stieg, a newcomer to the CIL, I believe this is his first race, representing Ball State University well, gets it up into the second position.
Yeah, very, very good lap time from the number 13 Ball State car. Yeah, I think this is his first race, so we don't. He's one of those unknown variables that we see every now and then, newcomer, and currently he's in the second place. That's actually really, really uh, nice to see, since any driver can take as much practice time as they need in iRacing. Uh, Even when there's a newcomer, they can easily be up front, and it's not like there's sort of backmarker teams. If you're racing iRacing, you know you have the same equipment, and especially in this series where the setups are fixed. So if you're faster than the if you're faster than your competitors, you know it's because you have the pace. So uh, maybe that's going to be a nice ego boost to Andrew to be qualifying currently second. But also, you have to think he's 3 tenths down. I don't know if Connor Levy just has that kind of special. I guess he has this thing for Darlington, but I think he might be the favorite for tonight.
Yeah, you make a good point. I think some drivers just have a knack for riding the wall a little bit better, and that's something you're going to have to do around Darlington if you want to find the speed. I think we saw yesterday in the real NASCAR Cup Series, you saw Kyle Larson just dominate at Homestead Miami Speedway running the wall. You know, it's no some drivers are just known for how well they run the wall. Drivers like uh, Tyler Reddick he's famous for ripping the high side around Homestead Miami. Tracks like that, where you really can use the bubble of air between the car and the wall to set a good lap time. And that's something that's great about this next gen car in iRacing is that this car models the aerodynamic physics very well as we look at Edwin Onofre, setting a lap time of a 29.53, same lap time as Andrew Stieg, but he said it later, so he's going to be third instead of second. He still has another qualifying lap here. Top of the field right now, though, if you exclude Connor Levy, who's absolutely dominating the qualifying times right now, if you look down from second to fifth, second to sixth, all those drivers are within about a tenth of a second of each other. I think we're going to be in for some really good racing tonight as Edwin out of University of North Texas is just unable to improve on his second lap time. He's about a tenth slower. So he'll finish qualifying in that third position right now. A couple drivers have yet to set qualifying times. Cody Carey, Ethan Decatur, Jeff Pete, and Garrett Daniels. None of them have qualifying times on the board at the moment. It could be that they hit the wall during their qualifying run and they did get their lap time invalidated due to that. But we'll have to see. That's probably going to be unfortunate for some of those drivers. I think we saw them have some really good lap times in practice, but just can't put it together in qualifying.
Yeah, but I think you can attest to how sometimes these drivers they do want to sit in the back and kind of get that experience, kind of making passes here. You said it's can be pretty difficult to overtake here, especially with how it seems like every driver wants to run up into the not into but against the wall. So if everyone tries to run the same line, you're kind of out of luck when it comes to which line to pass. Pretty much have to get a massive run out of previous corner if you want to get past somebody. So I think Cody Carey and Ethan Decatur, I think both of them have a lot of experience in the CIL. We kind of know what they're capable of, so I would imagine that maybe they opted not to run a qualifying to know they'll be in the back and get to maybe experiment with how to work their way through the field um, in preparation for tomorrow night. That's kind of a big thing I feel with the prospect is it can uh, it can prepare a lot of these drivers for what to expect tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. You make a good point where, that's the advantage of these Prospect Series races is that even though you might not have as much experience as those Premier Series drivers who are locked in week after week, you get the extra, 120 miles tonight to test your car and race trim. It's a completely different style of racing here at Darlington, just with how unique the track is. And I think having those 120 miles, I believe I don't know what the lap number is, but that difference in getting a full race worth of practice in and race conditions is going to be invaluable to some of these drivers. And I think, especially here, is with it being so difficult to pass, if you can figure out how to pass here before those Premier Series drivers, that's going to give you a leg up in the Premier Series race tomorrow evening. As we have no qualifiers on the track right now. Currently, Connor Levy out of Arizona State University setting the fastest lap time, almost a quarter of a second quicker than anyone else in the field tonight. Connor Levy with a 29.23. Andrew Stieg out of Ball State University in second in his first CIL race, and Edwin Onofre, that veteran in the 99 machine from the University of North Texas, rounds out your top three. But as we finish the qualifying session here, John, let's hear some predictions from you for tonight. Well, who do you think is going to come out on top, and what do you think is going to happen in this race?
Well, honestly, I'm not too sure. Kind of honestly, tonight I'm just gonna say let's just wait and see. Personally, I don't have
Well,
much to say.
I think Connor Levy really set the benchmark tonight. I think qualifying up at the front of the field is going to be oh so important tonight, and I think Connor Levy has done a great job of putting his Ford next gen Cup car on the pole position. It looks like, as it doesn't look like there's any other qualifying, as we have a minute to go in this qualifying session. We recapped our top three earlier, but on the top five, we got two St. Clair cars: Daniel Hunter out of St. Clair College, as well as his teammate Zachary DeWale. One of the leaders in the CIL Prospect Series is in the top five in the fifth position. You know, I think it's going to be super interesting because I think we see some fast cars in the back of the field. Rhett Crane has shown speed in both the Prospect and Premier Series race this season, as well as Cody Carey. Both of those cars out of Ball State University are both very quick, but they're both going to be lining up at the back of the field, and I think it's going to make things interesting for this race if we can see them make their way through the field. But it should be an exciting race. I'm looking forward to it, and I definitely think we're going to see a couple incidents tonight with cars scraping the wall and maybe even cars getting into each other. The CIL Prospect Series has been relatively clean this season. Not a whole lot of incidents to note.
Yeah, I remember. And I think you mentioned when we were kind of talking before the broadcast that we might see some accidents. We might see some cars getting together. Um, Maybe a bump and run, like the I think the Logano move that we saw earlier this year in the NASCAR Cup Series. Um, Drivers kind of using the chrome horn, as it's known, to try to force an overtake instead of doing it the good old way, the clean way. Um, so yeah, I think some of these drivers they might try to give a bit more of a tactile approach to getting past their competitors.
Absolutely, John. I think it's going to be a fantastic race tonight. I think you got to be careful using the chrome horn because oftentimes what goes around comes around. And if you find yourself using that chrome horn early on or too early in this race, you might find yourself making some enemies for not only this race, but for maybe the rest of the season too. They hold a bit of a grudge. And especially around here in Darlington, where you're running the top line so much, as we look at Zachary DeWale kind of warm up and start running that top line, I think really the chrome horn sometimes seems like the only option because really the preferred line for some of these drivers to overtake is going to be on the outside. So it's going to be difficult to overtake as we see drivers continue to rip the top, as we see two pink Valparaiso cars come out of the pits now. Uh, I believe that is, oh, I can't see the numbers from here. But we'll get a look at that later. But look at that pink car rip the top. We just see Zachary Duale a couple inches below, and I think that's going to cost him some speed overall. But if we want to look through the rest of the field, we got Connor Levy, who was our pole position winner for the evening. We'll see what kind of lap times he can do in this little warm-up session. We'll see if he's riding the wall as closely as we think he might be.
Yeah, this is probably one of the best opportunities that these drivers can get to kind of warm up. It's a warm up session, but all these drivers, they know what they're running. It's going to be a full tank of fuel, 4 fresh tires. Like, they're going to know what pace any driver is kind of running because they're all on the same kind of scenario during this session. So we could kind of see, I mean, we're watching Connor Levy right now. But like, yeah, it could be a nice experimentational period for these drivers to both feel out the track and feel out their competitors, see where they run.
Absolutely. I think one thing we just saw from Connor Levy there is that he wants to practice his green flag pit stops. The pit road at Darlington is infamous for being one of, if not the most difficult pit road to get onto because you're coming at such high speed into turn 3, and it's very, very easy to not be able to see the entry from the turn. So you have to, it's almost blind getting into the pit lane. So you have to brake much earlier than you might expect, and then you have to get down earlier than what you might expect. So if we do see green flag pit stops tonight in this race, it's going to be interesting to see how drivers approach it because I think there's a lot of time to be lost or gained getting onto pit road here at Darlington. Looking at some of the drivers.
I think that's one of the biggest things is kind of just the strategy because I think that this is one of those tracks that kind of can eat up your tires. You don't really want to be that kind of city duck where you're just losing so much time as the only car on a whole set of tires. So if we get a decent number of cautions, I highly anticipate there's going to be like one massive train of cars running in the pit lane. Pretty much just people are going to pit as much as they can, get out fresh tires, and kind of perpetually on that kind of push type run to keep themselves going as fast as
they can. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe drivers get 2 sets of tires for this race this evening. 3 sets if you include the tires they start the race on. So, this track eats up tires, but there's a little bit of strategy at play if we do get a good amount of caution, as we see Edmund Onofre get a little too close to the wall as he is trying to find some speed up there. He a little bit of a stripe, but we expect to see that a lot tonight with drivers maybe a mix between saving tires and pushing real hard and trying to get up close to that wall and finding some speed.
Yeah, and I think I just saw on my screen a bit earlier that I think it is the 00 Valparaiso car of Ethan Decatur, but he this track has a bit of a variable banking, so the apron is not as clear as it is on some other tracks where it's marked by a clear double yellow with just a solid white line, and if you run a bit too low, you can kind of touch that flat part of the track and then kind of spin your car out. So I think that's going to be probably the catalyst for 1, maybe even 2 cautions tonight. Just kind of the uneven banking on the track as looks like the warm-up session has just finished and we're ready to give you our grid for the race.
Absolutely. Here for the CiL Prospect Series, Southern 120, Connor Levy out of Arizona State University is going to be leading the field of green tonight from pole position. On his outside is Andrew Stieg in his first CiL race from Ball State University. Edwin Onofre out of the University of North Texas lines up in third with Daniel Hunter from St. Clair College to his outside. And Hunter's teammate, Zachary Duale, lines up in fifth. Scott Ratliff out of Pitt State University lines up in sixth. He's our number 1 alumni for the evening. Tristan Yoder out of Robert Morris University is in 7th. Bradley Daniels in 8th out of Robert Morris University lines up to his outside. And Austin DeLong in 9th from Pennsylvania College of Technology starts your row 5 with Josh Rutigues from Buena Vista University to his outside. Greg Crane had a poor qualifying session, ended up in 11th place, and Jeff Peet to his outside out of the University of Minnesota in 12th. Rounding out your grid for the evening's Southern 120 here from Darlington, we have Cody Carey in 13th place out of Ball State University with Garrett Daniels to his outside from Valparaiso, and the second Valparaiso car of Ethan Decatur, the 00, in 15th.
Yep, just a single pace lap, I believe, until we get started here. They're getting off turn two right now, so we're about to get racing right now in the Southern 120.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to a fantastic race here tonight. The number 14 of Connor Levy lines up to the inside of Andrew Stieg on the outside in that red and white Ball State machine. Behind them, Edwin Onofre in that green and black 99 machine out of the University of North Texas. And a couple St. Clair cars round out your top five with the 02 of Zachary DeWale in fifth. And in fourth, it's going to be Daniel Hunter in that 49 as the pace car pulls into turn four, pulls into pit road. And Connor Levy will pace the field to the Geico restart zone here for the CiL Southern 120. Connor Levy comes to the restart zone now. We'll see what kind of jump he can get. As Connor Levy's kind of pulled out a little bit of a gap from Edwin Onofre, and we're green here in the CiL Southern 120. Connor Levy gets a fantastic jump. Very poor start from Andrew Stieg on the outside. Edwin Onofre from third is going to move up into second position on the start. Looks like he can't quite get there and clear him into turn one, but great start from Connor Levy as he's jumped the field as they go side by side through turn two. It looks like Andrew Stieg hits the outside wall coming out of turn two. That's going to give the second position to Edwin Onofre as they go side by side, DeWale and Stieg into turn three.
Yeah, it could be a costly mistake from number 13. Kind of inexperienced and maybe not knowing how these drivers like to race and just running a bit too high. That's unfortunate. He's going to fall from second to fourth now, but a lot of these cars getting nice into a line as get a lot of single file running up high as we kind of anticipated. But we do see a bit of a deviation. A lot of these drivers will want to take as much clean air as they can get. That'll be their best bet, I believe, to make up time as to try to keep it. But yeah, pretty much single file from first to pretty much pretty far back through the field.
Absolutely. It was Rhett Crane trying to go side by side with Bradley Daniels out of Robert Morris University. Can't quite get there. He's getting a little loose, a little wiggle going into turn one. He's going to lose a lot of time there to the 5-2-1 machine of Bradley Daniels in front. It looks like below Scott Ratliff's going way down to the bottom of the track. He might have had a moment and he had to collect it as looks like Rhett Crane's going to make another move on Bradley Daniels here, who had a poor exit from turn two. Side by side in turn three and four. Daniels in the wall, but it looks like he's going to hold on to that position maybe as they come off turn four, still side by side. Rhett Crane from Ball State, Bradley Daniels from Robert Morris continue their fight into turn one, and they can't quite clear the car as looks like Rhett Crane almost lost into turn one. That outside line is the preferred line into the turn, and that's going to let Bradley Daniels hold on to seventh position.
Yeah, I was kind of scared. I seeing that kind of oversteer moment that a lot of these drivers are starting to create for themselves. I'm not sure if they're getting too trigger happy with the throttle or just the balance of the car is a bit too oversteer prone. But he looks like the number 6 is still trying to make this move happen, trying to take the 7th position away from Bradley Daniels in the number 521 Camaro. It looks like he's a bit too far back to make the move right now, but keeps trying to push, keeps taking that clean air, trying to catch up and make that move. I thought it was pretty done after Daniels hit the wall, but apparently he'll just fight right back and stays in front.
Absolutely. As we look back up to the front here, it looks like Connor Levy's pulled out a bit of a half-second gap on Edwin Onofre in second place right now, but we get a battle for the third position brewing with Zachary DeWale out of St. Clair College in the 02. And right behind him is Andrew Stieg trying to regain some spots he lost off the start of this race. Even behind them, we got, looks like Scott Ratliff and Daniel Hunter going side by side through turns 3 and 4, but this track is so difficult to pass at. You got to get the move done really before you get into the corner, or at least have the outside line going into the corner, but it's very difficult. As up front, looks like Edwin Onofre was maybe a little bit into the wall there, but Zachary DeWale can't capitalize as they 5 cars under a blanket here. It looks like Andrew Stieg has a run on Zachary DeWale now for the third position. Stieg on the inside, DeWale on the outside, and Stieg's going to get a little bit of a slide job going here up to the wall, and he keeps it off of it. He gets the move done for fourth position.
That was commanding. I have to give him so much credit. He saw that move. He saw the run that he got off of turn 2 and just capitalized so well off of it. For someone who's running their first race tonight in the number 13 Ball State University machine, that was commanding. I have to give him massive props. Well, he does hit the wall again, but he doesn't lose that much time as he kind of looks like he's trying to challenge Edwin Onofre for that second place that on the start was his to kind of keep a really good start. Now, I kind of thought that Connor Levy would end up running away given his qualifying time, being 3/10 above the rest of the field, but no, the whole field's pretty dang uh, close, and no one's really going to get that much a gap. The biggest gap we have in the field is maybe like a second. So yeah, no, these
Yeah,
drivers are giving it their all, trying to get as many places as they can. It's gonna run until the end. I can tell you that.
absolutely. It looks like our top 9 drivers all within 2 seconds, our top 6 within 1 second of each other. It's going to be a good fight to the end. I think maybe Connor Levy thought he had the speed to run the entire race at that pace, but those tires just will not cooperate the entire time. You see a little bit of action back here between Bradley Daniels and Rhett Crane. Like Rhett Crane moving himself up another position into 7th. But look at this field all the way from pretty much position 1 all the way down to position 10 almost in a line right now. We got some great battles throughout the field as it looks like Bradley Daniels, it looks like Rhett Crane in the wall there as he uh, tries to overtake another car and Scott Ratliff for another position.
Yeah, it looks like he's trying to take the inside. He's just like his teammate. He's trying to make it work on the inside, and unfortunately, he's not going to make it happen. He's going to lose out, going to slot right behind out, exiting turn number 2. Loses, kind of falling back about 2 car lengths as they start to enter turn 3. Going to fall under threat of 521 of Bradley Daniels, who does run into the wall. Lots of drivers are really overcooking it, and I think you called it the Darlington Stripe, and yeah, they're kind of giving it its name. He's back on the inside, running into turn 1. I think he might have it here, but Scott Ratliff, he is a hard hit on the wall, but keeps a position. I don't know if this is just like what's going on, but it seems like the move might be to use the wall to defend your position, kind of overcooking it into the entry and just using the wall to turn your car, not with the air buffer, but contact-wise. But Rhett Crane gives a bit of contact to the 747. He's now going to have the side-by-side run as they're neck and neck as they cross the start-finish line, starting lap number 13 for these drivers in P6 and P7. As Ratliff hits the wall, Crane runs him high. They're not going to give up. It's going to keep on fighting. They're going to lose time to the drivers up front, but they're just going to keep giving it their all, trying to just get as many points as they can. Never ending.
Yeah, the outside line, really the preferred line here, as Ratliff hits the wall again in turns 3 and 4. This might give Rhett Crane an opportunity, but you really got to have the outside line to make the move stick. I think we saw Rhett Crane have a fantastic move earlier where he kind of slide jobbed, I think, the 521 car of Bradley Daniels, but Scott Ratliff isn't giving it up that easily. It looks like Ratliff on the apron a little bit there. That's going to give Rhett Crane a good run coming down to turn 3. Rhett Crane, he thinks he has the pace to catch up to the rest of the field right now, but it's so tough at this tricky track with 2 unique corners. Looks like Scott Ratliff in the wall again. He's really hitting the wall that time. That's going to give Rhett Crane the opportunity to slide down the inside and take that position up into 6th spot. That's Rhett Crane out of Ball State University moving up another position, up 5 spots since the start of this race. He's making moves.
Yeah, I mean, if he didn't make it there, I'd just say that the wall was just a kind of omen to defending your position, because yeah, you just lost quite a lot of time, too much friction by running against a wall. Now he's going to be under threat with Bradley Daniels on his inside as they come through turn number 4. He's going to get enough pace running that outside line to keep his position, but I have to think he might be running a bit too much into the wall. It kind of looks like he almost hits it again this time around, but I mean, he's going to have damage. He runs onto the apron. It's very kind of strange out of 747. I don't know if it's. I wonder if it's maybe something with like latency. If his computers run a bit late, and the sim kind of fills in the gaps and extrapolates into him hitting the wall. And he's actually not. But it's eventually you have to kind of take the notes that like, oh yeah, you're not actually hitting the wall, but you keep using it. You keep saying that you're hitting the wall. You don't know what you're doing, but you keep hitting the wall. Please stop hitting the wall. I want your paint scheme, your beautiful paint scheme, to stay intact. It pains me when I see these wrecked cars and they have massive stripes on their side because they keep hitting the wall.
Absolutely, as it looks like Bradley Daniels is trying to get him a run down. It looks like he's got the speed coming out of turn 4 now, but can't quite get there. That corner exit comes up so quickly. It comes up so tight, too. It's a little deceiving. Very easy to hit the wall there if you're not careful. But I think Bradley Daniels has a little bit of damage to his right front fender. Hard to tell here. We'll get a close-up view here from the cameras. Maybe a little bit. I can't tell if that's the paint scheme or if that's damage, but either way, Bradley Daniels still trying to hunt down Scott Ratliff for the 7th position right now. It's so tricky to pass here. You really got to get a good run and make the move done before the middle of the corner, as we see Bradley Daniel do that just now. Coming down to turn one, bumper to tail right now. Can't quite get there. He's going to be behind the 747 for another lap here at Darlington Motor Speedway, as it looks like that was a good corner from wrong car again, Scott Ratliff, but he's hit the wall on the corner exit, and Bradley Daniels has to check up some. Really, you got to set yourself up knowing you're going to be in clean air on corner exit.
Yeah, I mean, it still looks that last hit he had was pretty substantial, and I think he's lost quite a bit of pace, um, given how Bradley Daniels is now kind of just cruising by, at least relatively, but still he's trying to defend. He keeps kind of running against that wall, but I'll say well defended, but I feel like the wall is kind of a crutch, and he'd run up into the wall. No, so Daniels would run kind of high, but since he would use the wall, or he'd run against the wall, it kind of was a defensive advantage to help keep Daniels behind. It kind of felt unfair, but that's just kind of how the tables were turned.
Absolutely, you see Tristan Yoder under pressure right now from Jeff Pete from University of Minnesota Twin Cities. He's gonna slide up there and take that spot. That's Tristan Yoder losing a spot to Jeff Pete. Pete with a little bit of a slide job there, but up at the front of the field right now, looks like Edwin Onofre is under pressure right now from Zachary DeWale. DeWale is one of the faster cars in the series. He's up there in the championship standings right now. But this is a good battle between these two cars, both of them with plenty of speed at the moment right now. But I think Edwin Onofre is maybe worried about his tires here. Maybe he's hit the wall a couple times right now. But that last lap by Onofre with a 30.92, DeWale with a 31.09. So Onofre kind of realized he was under pressure. He pulled out a couple tenths there on DeWale this time by. They ran pretty much identical lap times, 30.82 to 30.89. So not much change there in that battle. But out front, Connor Levy out of Arizona State University in that 14 machine, absolutely dominating the field right now with a 1.6 second lead. And we'll have green flag pit stops coming up here in about 15 to 20 laps or so. It'll be interesting to see which cars come on the pit road first, because fresh tires are definitely going to be a big benefit. I'm not quite sure. Right now, the Delta's sitting at about 1 second to 1.5 seconds from their best lap times of the race. So if you even come down just a couple laps earlier than your opponents, you're going to get that undercut. You're going to have the massive advantage of fresh tires, but you're going to be a couple laps down potentially. That's always the risk of pitting first.
Yeah, I remember saying that they were racing very close from like P1 to P6, and then you look away, looking at the between Rhett Crane and Scott Ratliff, and then all of a sudden we look back up front, and there's a 1.7 second gap between Connor Levy and Edwin Onofre. So I guess I was a bit wrong on that one. At least for P2 and P3, they're gonna keep you're gonna keep going, keeping my dream alive of start of the race to the end of the race. Just keep battling, never giving up, and giving it your all. I have to kind of look. It looks Steve. I think he hit the wall again. He's lost quite a couple places since that mention. He kind of. I mean, there's been a lot of movement in the field, and I think a lot of it is just. I feel like that's the story of this race. Is just how much wall you want to use. It's a difficult track, Darlington Raceway. It's very tricky. There's not that wide a groove that you can run. So it's his first race here, and he's still running sixth. He's still keeping it straight, and getting him props. But I think he might have some damage on the car. And, yeah, he looks like he's pulling down low, checking up really hard. So I think that it's not going to bring out caution, but he's losing a lot of time. Just kind of, it's unfortunate to see, because he was looking so confident, qualified second, and fallen down to seventh now, and just so far down on the pace. As we have Scott Ratliff pulling into pit lane, I think it seems quite early for this. This is a 90 lap race, and it's lap 27 at the moment. So I feel like this is quite early to pit, but I don't know, maybe he's picking the two stop. He's going to pit twice, and you Stieg coming into pit road as well. But also could be deciding, hey, yeah, I have too much damage. You need to use my one provided fast repair that'll basically give you a brand new car and back into the fight. To try to kind of salvage what you can out of the race. Scott Ratliff pulling out of pit road now, and Andrew Stieg probably pulling into his pit box right as we speak. But I think that was Connor Levy just pulling in. I think now to his he does it on his first lap or second lap down, which is very unfortunate for a driver who was running pretty well until I think he was just kind of caught out by the wall contact.
Absolutely. I think Scott Ratliff and Andrew Stieg both were maybe suffering from some significant tire wear. As we look at Scott Ratliff, is going to try to get one of his laps back. He's currently sitting 2 laps down at the moment, but you can really see the difference between fresh and old tires here now. Scott Ratliff is pulling to the inside of Connor Levy. He's going to want to get that lap back and only put himself 1 lap down as he does so now. Uh, but I think it's a strategy play here from Scott Ratliff and Andrew Stieg. I think they both had really bad tire wear. We see Tristan Yoder has decided to take the early strategy call here and pit for fresh rubber. But I think the guys who don't see themselves finishing high up the field, I think they're going to risk it on the strategy call and think that, hey, I am really bad at saving my tires, or this setup is just not working for my driving style. I want to pit. I want the advantage of fresh rubber, because I think we could really see it with Andrew Stieg, just how much understeer he was getting in the car, hitting the wall almost every corner. It looked like it was really difficult for him to control that. As looks like Connor Levy at the front of the field currently just got passed by Andrew Stieg, who put himself only 1 lap down instead of 2 laps down. But currently the one car, or the car that has the lucky dog, the free pass, is Austin DeLong out of Pennsylvania College of Technology. You see Ethan Decatur now also decides to pit. I think it's going to be interesting to see how the strategy call plays out, because there are going to be about 15 laps here where the people who pit early for the 2-stop are going to have the advantage. If you have about a second and a half advantage per lap, give or take, that's going to give you 30 seconds maybe, if you're lucky, over the course of the stint before the one-stoppers come to pit road. But we'll have to see how the strategy call plays out. It'll be interesting to see how it develops over the course of this race.
Yeah, I don't think this front runner. I kind of seeing how this pace has fallen off. I don't anticipate this being a one-stop race. Maybe they can try. But I think that the 2-stop might actually be the way to go. Just kind of given how it seems like I think at least a third, if not half, of the field has decided to come on the pit road and get first pit stop of the night. About a third of the way through the race. So kind of through looks like Rhett Crane. He's currently in the 5th position. He's probably our highest positioned car to come on the pit road. So, yeah, I think they're going to try to split this race into thirds, pitting once on lap about 30, give or take some, pitting again on lap 60, give or take, and then running that third set of tires until the checkered flag. Maybe I think they actually get 5 tire sets during the race, so that still gives them a bit of room to play with if they have some well-timed, or I guess more aptly unwelcome cautions late in the race. They can put some nice fresh tires on and get really aggressive. Hopefully, for their sake, that they would, I guess, that their competitors would be on really old tires. But yeah, I think we're just going to see a 2-stop race. I anticipate.
Yeah, I think at this point you kind of have to make your bed, because I think pitting now, if you want a 2-stop, might be a little late for the 2-stop strategy, just because you've lost a lot of time to the people who came in on lap 29, 30, 31, as we're on lap 36 now. And there's, hold out for another 7, 8, 9, 10 laps. You can do a 1-stop strategy. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. I think it looks like pretty much the top 6 at this point have made their bed, and I think they want a 1-stop it, as Connor Levy's lost a little bit of his advantage up front. He was at 1.6 seconds earlier. That gap now down to only about 1.25, but that could very well be a result of cars unlapping themselves around our current leader and just him losing time to the cars behind.
Yeah, I think it was because of the dirty air that he was getting, because of cars trying to unlap him. But I also have to wonder if he's second guessing his strategy. If he's trying to run that 1-stop strategy, pitting around halfway, or that would be around lap 45, which I think we have about, he hits the wall, he gets a bit of a damage on his right hand side. Uh, that time around, I think it was turn number 1 he hit the wall on. But yeah, I think I have to wonder if his confidence in his current strategy is a bit fading, along with most of these front running cars. Just thinking that now most of the field, I think from pretty much Scott Ratliff back, so that's pretty much half the field. Uh, they're all gunning on that two-stop strategy, running on a lot fresher tires. The car right in front of Connor Levy hits the wall. I think that is Jeff Pete in the 119 machine. But yeah, I think I have to wonder the psychology running through the 14 driver's head. What if this isn't the right strategy? What if I should have pitted around lap 30? What if I should have given up the lead in hopes of but yeah, so I think looks like Edwin Onofre is starting to catch up because of that traffic. I think we won't really know until they cross the line as they do that right now, but his about 1 second gap has pretty much halved. There's only about 4 or 5 seconds separating the first and second place, so, and about the same gap between second and third. So maybe that kind of traffic and tire game is starting to rear its ugly head and show that he might have overused his tires.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Connor Levy's under a little bit of pressure now, but only a couple laps to go till the midway stage of this race, and I think Connor Levy's definitely eyeing that up as his opportunity to come in, get some fresh good years, and get back on that just blistering pace he was on at the start of the race. I think that traffic really affected Connor Levy because I think it's always tough being the first person to lap a car because they're not really expecting it, and then once they get lapped, they kind of let everybody else by. You know, we saw that a little bit with Jeff Pete. I think Edwin Onofre got past Jeff Pete pretty well on all these other cars. But currently, you know, the top 5, the top 6 have yet to pit. But Andrew Stieg is currently our lead car on the alternate strategy with the 2-stop. He's sitting about 48 seconds behind the leader right now. So he's about 15 seconds away from unlapping himself. So it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers navigate this pit cycle right now, because it's going to be tricky to get on this pit road. I think we saw Connor Levy practicing it earlier. It looks like there's a car unlapping himself. I believe that is Tristan Yoder in the 09 car. He's unlapping himself past Zachary DeWale right now. He's going to try to get past Edwin Onofre in a moment here in the 99 machine. But fresh rubber, always the advantage around this track. This track eats tires like it's, you know, like they're crackers, you know? Like goldfish, or like Ritz, I don't know. But Tristan Yoder gets past Edwin Onofre, and he's going to get back to 1 lap down once he passes the leader and Connor Levy. Currently, closest battle on track is between Zachary DeWale and Edwin Onofre. They're about 6-7 tenths apart from each other right now. But there are cars in the way. Jeff Pete is likely the first car to come onto pit road to fulfill that one-stop strategy. He's currently a lap down still, so it's going to be difficult for him to make up that lap. But with fresh rubber, I think he's hoping to get that lap back before the leaders come in to pit for new tires.
Yeah, it looks like Yoder is making the move on the inside to get himself only 1 lap down. Looks like he'll take the 9th place ahead of Jeff Pete, who's currently on the pit road. Only 1 lap down now, so I think the next car behind Yoder is Ethan Decatur, who's 3 laps down. I'm not quite sure how. I think he might have been involved in an incident earlier, but he's fighting with Zachary DeWale, trying to see if he can get a couple of those laps back, maybe hope that some later race cautions. As we have Connor Levy, he tries to get on the pit road and he spins out. It's going to be detrimental to his chances at winning the Southern 120 tonight.
Yeah, we saw Connor Levy spin on a pit road there, but crucially, he did not spin into pit lane where the speed limiter is enforced. And I think Connor Levy, he might lose some time there, but fortunately, he's not going to get a speeding penalty, I don't believe. So he'll be able to recover it and maybe use some of that blistering pace we saw earlier. As Edwin Onofre comes into pit road now, does not spin, as a couple other cars. Bradley Daniels come to pit road as well. Zachary DeWale stays out on the track. He's going to lead a lap right now as Connor Levy continues to get his fresh good years and his number 1 pit stall here. Right sides go up, but left sides go up now. And at the moment, Zachary DeWale, your current leader. Edwin Onofre Also on pit road for the one stop, Daniel Hunter has stopped now as well. Zachary DeWale running a bit long here. That's going to be an interesting strategy to see how the undercut works as Connor Levy now.
I think in the chat he just said they had a penalty. That's so unfortunate. He was so commanding. He had such good pace, but that was a kind of, I didn't anticipate that happening because I think that was a kind of risk. If you run really, really late, the tires are not really going to like it. And that's just a risk is your tires. When I think you said earlier that this pit road is so challenging to get on and off of because it's curved. You can lock up some tires. You can accidentally get a bit loose and ultimately throw your race away just because your tires just do not want to cooperate. And yeah, I think he's might actually go from the car lapping every car to being the one that has been lapped, which is just so unfortunate to see from someone with so much pace to ultimately be out of contention 2 laps down.
Yeah, that is incredibly unfortunate for Connor Levy, but mistakes can make or break your race here at the Lady in Black, and we definitely saw a mistake there from Connor Levy, unfortunately. But Zachary DeWale currently leading the field still. He has yet to pit. He's trying to hope a caution comes out and he can put the entire field a lap down as Scott Ratliff gets into the wall there. And Onofre, he wants to get his lap back as quickly as possible, but Rhett Crane currently chasing down Zachary DeWale. But everyone's still a lap down, and I don't think Crane has the tires to get back to DeWale. It's going to be interesting to see how this pans out. But at the moment, Zachary DeWale has not pitted it. It looks like he's coming to pit road now. The O2 machine, he gets onto the pit road very nicely as DeWale relinquishes the lead to Rhett Crane out of Ball State University, running the two-stop strategy with his teammate Andrew Steeg behind him as he comes across the line now. He's still a lap down, so he has yet to lead a lap here, but it's going to be interesting to see how this pans out for the one versus the two-stop strategy now.
Yeah, we got the current. I think as soon as this lap kind of finishes, we'll have a Ball State 1-2 with Andrew Steegs in second. He gets to kind of watch the laps of his teammate Rhett Crane right in front of him. Maybe take some notes, see how they should run, and ultimately be sort of like a barrier to Edwin Onofre, who's on that one-stop strategy. A bit behind, I think about 4 car lengths behind Andrew Steeg. Sort of basically kind of playing that team game. Zachary DeWale, he pulls out of his pit box. He's going to be behind Scott Ratliff, who just passed him into turn 1. And Edwin Onofre is going to make the pass on the back straight past Andrew Steeg. I thought he was going to put up much of a defense, but the old strategy, tires got 10 laps to go until their next pit stop, by my estimation, and Edwin Onofre making that pass very confident on those new tires, as now he sets his sights on the number 6 of Rhett Crane, who has just started leading this race, and I don't think he's going to be leading for long.
Yeah, and I think one thing to note here through the pit cycle, Edwin Onofre has pulled out a massive gap on Zachary DeWale. That's about 8 seconds now, as it looks like Onofre is going for the lead here, but Crane's going to shut the door, and he goes up and hits the wall. Rhett Crane is going to relinquish the lead here by hitting the wall, and Edwin Onofre out of the University of North Texas is going to take the lead here in the CiL Southern 120. The 99-year new leader at lap 53. But behind him, Zachary DeWale is currently the only challenger on the one-stop strategy right now. He's 7.8 seconds behind. That's going to be tough to overcome before the end of this race unless there's a caution.
Yeah, I think that pass from Edwin Onofre made on Rhett Crane was just kind of the best demonstration of the sort of difference in strategy, the difference in pace, because Rhett Crane running that two-stop strategy, Edwin Onofre made that pass look so easy, and Rhett Crane basically had no chance of defending against that, even with a very dominant high line as they went into, I think it was turn 1, and now I think there's about a 2-second gap between Edwin Onofre and Rhett Crane. Currently we're looking at Zachary DeWale from St. Clair College in the 0-2 machine. He's about 7 seconds behind the current leader. I think the undercut is definitely what you want to run here for your competitors, and using the fresh tires to kind of build a gap. And I think that's what Connor Levy was trying to do, being the first car to pit, as they kind of realize, yeah, there's not going to be a caution. These drivers, they're racing clean. They're coming up to Andrew Steeg. Now he's going to have a massive run down the back straight. I do not think the 13 is going to be able to make anything to defend. as he pretty much gets by before they even enter turn number 3. Andrew Steed he hits the wall again. I think these drivers really want to start getting back on, getting a new set of tires very soon. Starting lap 56 for these drivers. I guess about 4 laps to go until the next set of pit stops for these 2 stop drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can see on the screen now the pit stop strategy and the pit stop lap for some of these drivers. I think we see Edwin Onofre came to the pit road about 4 laps before DeWale, and they were about nose to tail going into the pit stops. And now there's about a 6-second gap between them. So almost a second a lap as we see, I believe that's our first 2 cars come on the pit road for the 2-stop strategy. That's Scott Ratliff in the 747 and Andrew Steig in the 13 machine. They want to take their pit stops now. They'll have 30 laps to catch back up to the leaders, and hopefully, or they think they can get back to the leaders before the end of this race, but we'll have to see. It'll be an exciting 30 laps to finish off this race, as we also see Garrett Daniels. He's in the pit road right now.
How did Scott Ratliff make his way in front of Andrew Steig as they pulled into pit road? I thought Andrew was in front. And it looks like Steig has slightly overshot his pit box and is going to lose even more time on pit road trying to get his second stop of the night completed. It's going to be kind of a detriment. It's going to be quite costly for the number 13 driver. His first CIL race. We've said it all night. I keep saying it. I was kind of hoping that he'd be nice up front. I kind of want to talk to him, see what he thought, but don't think that's how it's going to be panning out unless we see some massive underdog stuff from the number 13 car.
Yeah, and I think what happened with that 13 car, I think he got a penalty coming to pit road because Scott Ratliff is already out on track and coming to the start-finish line after pitting, but Andrew Steig is still on pit road in his pit box, so looks like he got caught for speeding or an unsafe entry potentially, and he's going to have to serve a penalty here of about 30 seconds. That's going to put him a lap down to the cars on his strategy. You also see Tristan Yoder behind come through the exit of pit road, and he's going to step on the gas and get back to speed now. But I think what's happened now at the front of the field is that Zachary DeWale has had all the cars between him and Onofre pit. All those 2-stop cars that were between him and the lead have come into pit road, put on fresh rubber, and that's giving DeWale a clean track in front of him to chase down our leader, Edwin Onofre. And I think, there's a 5-lap difference on their tire, so DeWale might have a chance here to catch back to the bumper of Edwin. Onofre, the 99 machine out of the University of North Texas. Currently, the first car on the 2-stop strategy is Scott Ratliff. He is 1 lap down at the moment. Excuse me, it might be Bradley Daniels. We'll have to double check when he's pitted. It is Scott Ratliff. He's pitted twice. He's the first car on the 2-stop strategy. He pitted lap 56. But Ethan Decatur and Rhett Crane are 2 cars also on the 2-stop strategy who still have to come to pit road to finish off their cycle for the evening.
Yeah, I'm looking at the last lap times of these first 2 drivers. Zachary DeWale, his last lap time, a 30.3. Meanwhile, that of Edwin Onofre, a 31.0. So, yeah, Zachary DeWale, I don't take this lightly when I say it is very much hammer time right now. He's trying to try to capture as much time as he can to try to challenge for the lead. He's getting as much as he can, but it's going to use up his tires. Although I think it's not going to use them as much as earlier. We'll have some extra rubber in the track. So I think definitely he could try to catch up, but I think if I was in his seat, I'd try to pray for a caution. But I mean, if it never comes, you kind of have to wish upon a star that he swings, or else you pretty much have no chance. So I think it might be his only real chance to just push like hell, run it as fast as he can, and just hopefully Edwin Onofre might get caught out by some traffic, might make a mistake. But I think a caution, by the way this race has been, is highly unlikely. So yeah, his only real opportunity to win this race is if he keeps up this pretty dominant pace. I think it might be the fastest in the field. Last time around was 0.2 faster crossing the starting line. Now we'll see how it's starting to compare. I think it was about 0.2 faster again. So yeah, just gonna keep trying to whittle this gap. It was like six seconds when they pitted, and now it's about 2.3 seconds. So, can definitely see that he's trying to close that gap as much as he can.
Absolutely, as you see Edwin Onofre try to lap the 22 machine of Austin DeLong as Rhett Crane comes in. I think he's the last car in the two-stop strategy to come to pit road. But we can see on our screens now, we can see how that gap has closed over the past couple laps. Uh, about 5 laps ago, that gap was at 4.11. Now that gap's only at 2 seconds for Edwin Onofre and Zachary DeWale. We can see DeWale's been taking a couple tenths out of Onofre each lap now. It's going to be at this pace. I think Zachary DeWale is definitely going to get close to Edwin, but catching is one thing and passing is another. We aren't quite sure. You know, it's so difficult to pass around this track. Track position is so important, as it looks like really at this pace that they're going to lap everybody but the top 3 drivers potentially. We'll see what happens as we get down the final 25 laps to go. Final 24, I should say, excuse me, in this Southern 120. We've gone green the entire race so far. That's allowed for some interesting strategy between our drivers. And coming to the stripe, no, we see Decatur, I believe that is, in the pink car, getting to the side of Onofre coming out of turn 4. That was almost disastrous for our leader, but they make it through clean. That gap now down to 1.25 seconds. Onofre lost a lot of time that last lap, 0.4 of a second to Zachary DeWale.
Yeah, I'm kind of Code Brown, and I didn't know see if I was in there. Uh, Decatur not really making much of a friend there, running way too close. But yeah, it's kind of just the challenge of this, not just vertigo, but just the traffic of these differing strategies, and it's so challenging to drive around all these drivers who are running these different strategies. Frankly, it's probably the biggest challenge tonight is just all these cars that are not really on the same pace that you are, trying to fight for the win.
Yeah, absolutely. And just checking in with our 2-stop versus one stop strategy right now, Scott Ratliff currently 50 seconds behind the leader in terms of overall race time with only 22 laps to go. I don't think that 2-stop strategy is going to work out for the 2-stoppers. I think it's going to be very difficult to catch up. And even then, they're still a lap down. We see a couple cars come to pit road. Connor Levy, the 14 machine, as well as Ethan Decatur. Interesting strategy from them. Not sure what they're going to do here. Maybe they just want to get some fresh tires on it and avoid the wall for the rest of the races. They're a bit further down the field, but that's going to promote Scott Ratliff, the first 2-stopper, up into the 6th position.
Yeah, I think what they might be trying to do is first off, I'm looking at the lap times, 3 thousandths of a second separated the previous lap and the last one they just did. Back to the really high pace of Zachary DeWale. Looks like I think about 5 tenths up. So yeah, he's still pushing like hell. But yeah, you were mentioning that I think it was Connor Levy and one other driver. I think it was Scott Ratliff, but they pitted again last time around. I think that might be they're again praying for a caution. Actually, no, sorry, I have the chat open. Looks like Connor Levy just sent that. Unfortunately, I think maybe his spotter calculated the fuel wrong or inputted the fuel wrong, but he has to pit for fuel again. So yeah, I'm pit road is not being done tonight. Pretty much throwing what would have been a very dominant win to a nightmare, to be honest. So unfortunate, but I thought that could have been a strategy thing. Could still be a strategy thing if we have a caution pretty late in this race. If he's on pretty fresh tires, he could try to stay out with maybe a couple of their cars and get a couple extra spots that he wouldn't have had otherwise. But he's currently 2 laps down, so I think he might be a bit too far back for that strategy to be in his favor. So unfortunate for Connor Levy.
Yeah, absolutely. He was the dominant car of the first run, but an unfortunate spin on the pit road during the pit cycles cost Connor Levy the lead, as well as a speeding penalty that combined with a spin definitely hurt his race. And then unfortunate fuel calculation as we see Zachary DeWale closes within half a second of our leader, Edwin Onofre, in the 99 machine at the University of North Texas. That O2 car has had some incredible speed this second run. He's done a great job of catching the back bumper of our leader, but catching is one thing, passing is another. As he closes within a quarter of a second, he sends it deep into turn 3, tries to get a good exit on turn 4. We'll see what he can do coming down the front stretch.
Yeah, a bit of an oversteer moment from Zachary DeWale, but he's really, really pushing so hard. I don't know if Edwin Onofre is trying to just save his tires so he has something to fight with. But yeah, This is going to be an awesome battle to watch. Might have a bit of a run. Duell might have off of turn number 2. No, they seem to be about equal on speed. Entering turn number 3 right now. Going to stay nose to tails. Duell running a bit further low, trying to keep his front splitter on the clean air. Pretty much just trying to get as much downforce as he can to try to get a run. If you need a small run as they run down the front straight, we're running on the front of Duell's car right now. He looks low, no afraid defends, tries to look high, there's no real gap. No afraid's going to stay in front for another lap. Duell keeps getting nice runs. No afraid keeps defending like his life depends on it. And lap 76, I think it's 14 laps until, no, that's 14 laps, I believe, until the end of this race. There's not much time left. They're going to be keeping up this battle and trying to hope the other make a mistake and trying to get the win here for the Southern 120.
Absolutely, as we see Zachary DeWale continue to hassle the back of Edwin Onofre, as we see a car coming off pit road there. He might get involved with that fresh tires, but only 0.15 seconds, only a tenth of a second separating these two drivers right now. We've gone 75 laps so far. Incredible racing between these two drivers. DeWale has closed a 6-second lead to only a tenth of a second as they come down the front stretch now. DeWale looking inside. He's not going to be close enough to make a move in the turn 1. There's 13 laps to go, but that doesn't seem like enough time to DeWale. He wants to get the move done as soon as possible. As he gets a good run coming out of turn 2 here, he might have a chance down into turn 3. Edwin Onofre looks low. He's going to defend as DeWale wants to go lower, and he goes back up to the top of the racetrack. Looks like Onofre is doing a great job of defending. He's taking away the air off the front splitter of DeWale right now through turn 3 and 4. The lap car in the way, that's going to be Jeff Pete in the 119 machine. He's a lap down at the moment as Onofre continues to hold the lead for another lap.
The traffic right up front looks like the traffic hits the wall. I think, yeah, you think it's Jeff Pete. Both the drivers have to run right onto the apron to make it by. Both make it by. I think both pretty much doing that without much of a hit, but DeWale still in this beyond front. I imagine Onofre was sweating bullets seeing that car right in front of him and hoping that he doesn't spin or make any contact like I think it was Decatur. I think Decatur almost did make contact with Onofre a couple laps ago as he was passing. But DeWale, he just keeps trying to run that nice separate line, getting a nice run using the clean air in the turns to try to make as much as he can. But Onofre just has enough pace and enough bravery to defend aggressively. But DeWale's trying to use all the track, running down pretty much onto that part of the track that levels out, which I guess I call the apron. But he kind of fell back this time around. I think about maybe 2.5 car lengths. Not going to give up, I hope, as they start lap number 81. We have about 10 to go in the Southern 120 before the end of this race, and frankly, both of these drivers are in such close contention for this win. Neither want to give it up. DeWale running very hot, and he hits the wall. He's going to stay in it. He's going to keep going, but that damage that he might have on the right side of his car might be enough to sacrifice the pace that he needs to take this win.
Absolutely. I think DeWale is wheeling it around Darlington. He hits the wall again. It looks like sparks fly from the right side of that NASCAR Next Gen Cup car as Onofre pulls out a bit of a gap now, about a quarter of a second between him and DeWale, but DeWale is closing back in down the back stretch. He's not going to be close enough for a move into turn 3 and 4. As Onofre now hits the wall, he's going to lose a little bit of speed coming out of turn 4, but I don't think DeWale is going to be able to close up in order to make a move. That last lap by, pretty much identical lap times as they cross the stripe again. Zachary DeWale only about a 0.05 of a second quicker than Onofre. It looks like their lap times have evened out as DeWale has caught the back bumper of Onofre now. Coming out of turn 2, still about 0.2 of a second back. DeWale, he's been wanting to get this move done for about 10 laps now, but Onofre, he's been defending about as well as you can ask about. As you see, I say that, commentators curse as Onofre hits the wall. That's going to allow DeWale to close up a little bit. But still 0.2 of a second back. There's just a little bit of a bubble between those two drivers, and he just can't quite overcome it in order to get the move done going into the turns.
Remember how I was saying earlier in the race, we were like, rattling other drivers further back. We're using the wall to try to defend. Maybe kind of unintentionally, though. But yeah, I think these drivers are just pushing so hard that they're kind of ending up using the wall as the defensive device. Yeah, Doyle using that nice slightly higher line, getting half of his car into the untouched, clean air that Onofre isn't messing up with the body of his Camaro. Yeah, both these drivers running so hard. I guess Onofre's probably looking in his mirror or maybe his virtual mirror so much, trying to see what lines he takes, which ones through 1 and 2, and which line through 3 and 4. Try to keep using that dirty air as a defensive device to keep DeWell from being able to make a nice run, but DeWell is smart enough to try to get it. And then Onofre has a bit of an oversteer moment. He's down low on track. Onofre's DeWell's gonna catch up so much entering turn number 1. He's pretty much right on his rear bumper. He's threatening him so much. Try to take this lead as they are on lap 86. We have about 3 to go as they cross the line. Or I think it's 4 to go as they cross the line. Pardon me. But yeah, Onofre has a bit of a gap. Oh, you know DeWell's going to fight until the checker.
Absolutely. I think Zachary DeWale has burned up his tires a little bit. He's fallen to almost half a second behind now. He's at 4/10 at the moment. And Onofre is just keeping it smooth as they cross the stripe now. 4 to go here at Darlington in the Southern 120. Onofre's done a fantastic job of defending so far. I think DeWale is getting a little bit frustrated maybe as the laps wind down. There isn't much time to go now as they come down the backstretch.
Yeah, I think I said it in the warm up. When push comes to shove, I think these cars can do a bit of shove, and I have to wonder if DeWale is considering that in his toolbox. He might try to use the front bumper of his St. Clair College number 02 Camaro to try to shove an Onofre out of the way, do the Logano move as soon as a white flag falls, but looks like he's going to catch up a bit through turn number 2. He's right there. He could try to make it. He could try to use the chrome horn to make his way past. He could try to dive bomb into turn number 3. Looks like he's going to try to make the move stick. Onofre's going to stay in front as they go into turn number 4. Onofre's going to have a bit of a gap. DeWell, I think, is going to have a bit of a run, though, as he runs the switchback line. Well, not really a true switchback. Onofre doing some very, very good defending to stay in front. Lap number 89. We're 2 to go in the Southern 120 in the CiL Prospect Series, and we have a very tight battle for the lead. DeWell's going to have a massive run down the back, I believe. A bit of a tiny little kick of the rear end. He's there. He's trying to make as much time as he can. He's trying to make a run. I think he's going to have one to kind of switchback line. Out of turn number 4, we're starting the white flag. It's a final lap of the Southern 120, and there's only about a tenth and a half separating these two drivers.
Absolutely. As Edwin Onofre leads the 0-2 machine of Zachary DeWale through turns 1 and 2 for the final time. DeWale 2/10 back. Is he going to use the chrome horns in turn 3 and 4 and try to make the move for the lead? Looks like he's a bit far back. He's going to sit it in deep on the high side. He's going to hit the wall. Edwin Onofre is going to hold the lead through turns 3 and 4. Zachary DeWale can't get there in the end. He hits the wall again. He's going to spin as they come across the stripe. Edwin Onofre out of the University of North Texas will win your Southern 120 in the CiL Prospect Series for tonight. Zachary DeWale gave it his all, put it in the wall at the end, but he'll come home across the line in second place. Daniel Hunter out of St. Clair College, he's still coming through turns 3 and 4 now, as the rest of the field's at least a lap down from 4th all the way back to the back of the pack right now. Daniel Hunter ran a super clean race. We didn't see a whole lot of him, but he comes across the stripe now in 3rd, rounds out your top 3 for tonight, and he just ran a pretty clean race, pretty uneventful race for Daniel Hunter as Bradley Daniels out of Robert Morris University finishes 4th, and your first two-stopper of the evening, Scott Ratliff, rounds out your top 5 for the CiL Prospect Southern 120. We see cars going insane and, almost looking like Bubba Wallace out there wrecking each other at the moment. But Edwin Onofre, burn it down. You deserve this win. That's a well-earned win here in the CiL.
That was so exciting. I honestly want to thank DeWale for giving so much out on the track. I honestly don't think he left anything out there. He did as much as he could. I think he was actually, I was watching his onboard, and I don't think he lifted coming out of 4. He was hitting the wall, but who cares? We don't have to pay for the damage. Hell, I wouldn't know if he blows that engine up doing some nice donuts. There's nothing to lose. You can blow his engine I don't care. But yeah, so much was left on that track today. I honestly feel a tiny bit sad and also very, very proud about DeWale. He was about 6 seconds back coming after the pit stops and caught up so much that honestly that is so impressive from the St. Clair driver, uh, Zachary DeWale.
Absolutely. That was a fantastic effort at the end of the race there from DeWale to maybe try to make a move on Edwin Onofre. We're going to get a replay of this last lap here, hopefully. We see final lap through the field, Zachary DeWale in the O2 car, Edwin Onofre in the 99 machine in front of him through turns 1 and 2. We'll get a replay of this final lap. I think DeWale here is just trying to hopefully get a move going into turns 3 and 4, but I think at this point he knows DeWale's a bit too far ahead.
Yeah, I think at that point the all like you can see he like does not really try to lift. He hits the wall. I have to wonder if he was trying to see if he could just use the kind of I think what some people call the cheat. You saw how much he caught up though. He was right in the back bumper after being about 2 car lengths back as we watched this replay. So I think he could have made it happen. Maybe try to use the damage he didn't have to kind of catch up and basically run his car, literally just run it on the wall and see if he could make it stick. And it didn't pan out that way, but he gave it his all. That's all we can ask, and that was so really commanding from Onofre and demonstrative of the skill for DeWale uh, for this Prospect Series. So I think we'll have both of them tomorrow night in the Premier Series race, and honestly, both of them might be favorites to win it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that last lap reminded me, I believe it was Kyle Larson trying to overtake, I believe it was Denny Hamlin in, I think, last year's Southern 500, if I believe, where at the end of the race, it was Kyle Larson that he said he tried to video game it and ride the wall around to the victory. But we're going to hear from our top 3 finishers momentarily here. We'll see if we can hear from any of them. Trying to get our third place finisher, Daniel Hunter, up in the booth. We're trying to contact him. Currently off. I think he's debriefing with his St. Clair College team. You know, that St. Clair College team, well represented in the CIL, and they definitely have a program that really benefits as a team. And I think we have Daniel Hunter joining us in the broadcast booth now. Your third place finisher for this evening, Daniel Hunter. Congratulations on the third place finish. We didn't see a whole lot of you in that second stint. I think you're really on your own for the most part. Mentally, how challenging was that just to kind of ride on your own and keep it on the track?
Man, it was hard. I was out on my own the whole second stint there. I couldn't. I just don't have the race pace down yet. I was having a lot of degradation. I was just really running on my own, keeping it on the track, trying not to lose any focus.
Yeah, lots of focus needed at Darlington. We saw it kind of early. I think some of the drivers, a lot of drivers, to be honest, hitting the wall. How was it kind of just adapting to the kind of very difficult uh, track that we were racing on tonight?
I actually quite enjoyed this track over all the other ovals I've raced so far this year. I did touch the wall quite a lot during that race, just little bumps and nicks in turn like 2 and 3. But overall, no damage, and I had good kept it on the track.
Well, Daniel, congratulations on the third place finish this evening. Before we send you on your way, is anybody you want to thank or shout out on the broadcast?
My coach and my teammates, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be racing here.
Thank you, Daniel, and have a nice night.
You too, thank you.
That was our third place finisher for the evening, Daniel Hunter out of St. Clair College. That St. Clair team definitely has a lot of camaraderie, and I definitely think their teamwork is definitely making them one of the more consistent challengers in this CIL field. You know, speaking of challengers, I think it's now time that we talk to our second place finisher for the evening. He put on a great show for us tonight, Zachary DeWale out of St. Clair College. Congratulations on the second place. It was a fantastic battle between you and Edwin at the front. What was going through your mind that last lap?
Well,
I was right on him for the last probably 5 or 6 laps there, trying to find a way past, and there's nothing really. It's such a narrow track. Darlington's so tough to pass. So last lap was just kind of like a last ditch effort. I just kind of dove it off into the corner and tried to do kind of a Kyle Larson move there, and it didn't work out, but it was a really good race.
Yeah, it was awesome to watch. I have to tell you that. Massive props. Just kind of, I think you were about 5 or 6 seconds back following your singular pit stop, and just what was the strategy kind of coming in? Do you think that you were gonna be in contention for the win? Did you ever lose kind of sight of the win? Do you feel?
I felt pretty good coming into the race, like before qualifying, because I love Darlington. I put in a lot of laps here, but I messed up my qualifying lap a little bit. I hit the wall on my fast lap, so I didn't get a lap with hot tires on. But yeah, so we I was feeling pretty good about it, but uh, we just didn't have the track position at the start, so I knew we'd have to save tires and take advantage of that pit stop. So we stayed out a bit longer, tried to get the new tires at the end of it, and we got some spots back, so it's good.
Absolutely, Zach. I think you put on a great show for us here on the broadcast this evening. Before we send you on your way, anybody want to thank or shout out on the broadcast?
Yeah, for sure. Jordan, Riley, if he even made it on here. Emily, and Emily's dad is apparently a huge fan. He's been watching all these races, so shout out to him.
Thank you, Zach, and have a nice night. Congratulations on the second place finish.
Thank you.
Once again, that was Zachary DeWale out of St. Clair College, the O2 machine, putting on a great fight, really trying to challenge for that victory position, that first position, but he couldn't get there tonight. And that brings us to our race winner, Edwin Onofre. Congratulations on the race win. Absolutely stellar effort defending that position, and you put on a great show for us tonight. What was going through your mind as you saw Zachary DeWale getting bigger and bigger in your mirror?
Well, he was chasing me like some sort of predator, and I was the prey, and I was trying to get away. Around 60 laps, I saw that he was about 6 seconds away, and then every lap it was just getting shorter and shorter, like almost 2 seconds every lap. And I'm like, wait, what? Where did he get that from? How did he get so fast? I mean, I didn't know what lap did he pit for those fresher tires, but there was no way he would have been able to get that fast onto me. But in my mind right there, I was like, okay, I gotta try to figure out a way to defend because it is really tough to try to pass in these cars, but it's a lot tougher trying to make it narrow or rather clean without wrecking each other or hitting the wall with going too much speed into the corner. So I'll say this was like a retaliation for the GT3 series at Laguna Seca, where I tried to get past Zachary DeWell, but he was just a massive boat. I'd say this is a comeback. I'd say this is a retaliation, and not in the way Bubba Wallace did it, but this is retaliation for that. Not really, but I gotta say that was a really fun race overall. Darlington is not one of my best tracks, but I had to take in a lot of practice, try to figure out the highlight like Carl Larson does. That's how he won at Homestead. That's how I won at Darlington.
Yeah, certainly. Congratulations on. I do want to ask. So we saw like a very kind of divergent strategy. We saw you and a couple other cars try to using the single stop, and then the rest of the field running the double stop. Do you think that kind of? I mean, you were able to run the single stop pretty confidently and have a decent chunk of pace. Do you think that might? Is that one of your big notes for tomorrow night's Premier Series race, where you're fighting against the big boys?
Oh yeah, it is something to keep in mind. But the thing about that is that you do a one stop if you believe that the field is cautious enough to not cause a caution. Now, when it comes to tomorrow night, I think the two stop will be required because obviously there has to be at least one moment where somebody unintentionally spins their tires on the exits or somebody didn't give enough room on the entries on the corners. So I'm probably gonna have to try to figure out a way to divide 90 laps, or if it's more than 90 laps, into two stops, so I can figure out what's the best strategy for that. But going into tonight, I was not expecting to have this pace. Like I said, Darlington is not one of my better tracks. Any tracks that require tire wear management, I am barely a rookie at that. I try to learn. I try to be better with every race I do on iRacing, especially in the ovals. And this was definitely a learning experience. I never really had a lot of fun until today, but that was just very awesome. I feel like I do got to say I'm sorry for Connor Levy because he got penalized. I don't know if he was speeding on the pit road, but that was very unfortunate. Maybe we could have a three-way battle between me and Zachary the Whale, but I'm just got to say I'm very sorry for him. But other than that, I can't believe I was able to pull something off like this. It's incredible. Thank you guys so much for the broadcast.
Absolutely, Edwin. I think I got to ask you before we send you on your way. Did you think you were going to get moved out of the way in that last lap?
Yeah, I was kind of expecting the dive bomb. I was expecting some kind of desperate move to try to get momentum, but I'm like, if they're gonna pull it off, they're not gonna be able to win because you essentially wrecked yourself, or you slow down enough to where you lose more spots than what you were trying to hope to gain for. So when I saw him try to go underneath me, I tried to block his momentum. When he tried to do the Kyle Larson video game move, aka I was like, nah, that's not gonna be helpful. I might as well not worry about that and just keep it on my pace.
That's fantastic, Edwin. It was absolutely a blast watching you and Zachary battle it out for the win tonight. Before we send you on your way, anybody want to thank or shout out on the broadcast this evening?
Yeah, first off, my parents. I hope they're watching this right now. If not, I can send them to the YouTube video later on so that they can show my performance, which I was not expecting. Gotta thank UNT for letting me be admitted in 2018, senior of mechanical engineering. Shout out to the UNT Smash Club. I know my friends are there and I want to celebrate this with them. Got a shout out to all my friends over there at UNT Discovery Park as well, who are taking the college courses as I am. And thank God, I cannot forget him. But thank you for allowing me to learn how to deal with this track and with the tire wear. It's something to take note for future races that are tough as this. And that's pretty much all I got to say. But I hope that covers everybody that I have shouted out so far. And thank you guys. Thank you guys for hosting up a great track with a great race. Thank you guys so much for that.
Yeah, thanks for coming to the booth with us. Thanks for all the kind words, and yeah, congratulations on the win, and have a wonderful night.
Thank you. You too. Take care. Have a wonderful night too.
And that was our race winner, Edwin Onofre out of the University of North Texas. Absolutely a blast to talk with him when we get the chance. He's always exciting to talk to and absolutely a fun character to race with on the track as well. So I think that's just going to about wrap it up here at the CIL for this evening. We're going to take a quick look at the post-race results now. Looking at the results from this evening. If they'll pull up. They don't want to pull up. Some technical difficulties in getting the race results up for some reason. Let's see if... Maybe it doesn't want to show up. They won't show up on the screen, but we could read them out either way. You heard from our top three. Edwin Onofre out of the University of North Texas, our winner. DeWale in second out of St. Clair College. And in third, Daniel Hunter, are also out of St. Clair College. Rounding out your top five, Bradley Daniels out of Robert Morris University and Scott Ratliff. Running the two-stop strategy tonight, rounding out your fifth position. Rhett Crane from Ball State finished sixth. And Connor Levy, we saw him with some incredible speed early on. Unfortunately, couldn't get back to the front after a penalty cost him some time on pit road. Rounding out your top 10, we had Treston Yoder, Jeff Pete, and Austin DeLong rounding out your top 10 in the CIL. John, I think we saw a fantastic race this evening. What are your thoughts on what we saw tonight?
Yeah, I mean, all that clean, we had that massive green flag. There wasn't a caution. We didn't see any yellow flag pit stops. We didn't see that kind of deviation from the two main strategies of the single stop and a double stop, all of which under green. So I think tomorrow night, how it might change is, I think as Edwin said, we can anticipate that there's going to probably be a caution. There's going to be a lot more drivers. The track's going to be much more busy, and just a lot more drivers trying to get as much as they can. So coming tomorrow night and seeing how it might change, the strategies we saw tonight are not going to be seen tomorrow, just because of a race and the massive risk that you might have cautions that'll ruin your strategy. So yeah, I think it's so there's too many variables to really say. All I know is they're gonna be racing like hell because it's so hard to pass.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be an exciting race tomorrow night in the CIL Premier Series. The collegiate iRacing's best take on Darlington Raceway. A bit longer race. It's going to be, I believe, 175 miles. That's going to add, I don't know, 20 to 30 laps or so, give or take. Don't know the numbers off the top of my head. But I think that's going to about do it for us here at the CIL this evening. We thank you for joining us in this absolutely amazing broadcast of the CIL Prospect Series race at Darlington Motor Speedway, the Southern 120. On behalf of everyone here at the CIL, myself, Matthew Nordberg, John Dinkel, we want to thank you for tuning in tonight, and we hope you tune in tomorrow night to see the CIL Premier Series take on Darlington in the Southern 175.